something big happened in Harley for the 2018 model year. They came out with a whole new line of softail bikes. And it is a big deal because they don't usually come out with new gens of bikes. And even though they have the same names and the same overall design concept, they have a new frame, new shock, new suspension, and new engine. And that is, by definition, a new bike. And they are. And a thumbs up for them actually trying to do something with their model lines. They really are trying to make an effort to keep Harley going, because the attraction of a bike that was from the 1920s and 1930s and the V-twin and the big heavy bike really isn't something that's going to attract younger riders. But good for them to come into the 21st century. My beef with Harley, I do have some beefs with Harley, and I would call it a contradiction. 20% of everyone in the world are over 6 feet tall. So they want to sell to the 80% and hopefully sell more bikes and make more money, and that makes sense. But it's a contradiction. A small person is not going to look at a Harley, a 700-pound bike, and say, oh, that's the bike for me. That's not going to be on their list. They're not even probably going to consider it, if you think about it. So to try to market the big Harley bikes to smaller people is a big contradiction, I think. And I really think that they have the Sportster line, which they've done some great things with, and that is kind of the break into the Harley brand. I don't like the 500, I don't like the 750, I think that's a kind of silly. The ergonomics of those bikes are just awful. But that's really their entry-level bike, and they should make that their entry-level bike. You want to come out with a low model of the Sportster or do something like that, that's great. But for their main brands, they're too small. And their demographic isn't small people. It's big, tall, burly guys like me. But I'm not going to get a Harley, you know, because I don't fit on them. They're too small. And this new line of bikes, they're even smaller than the previous gen. So I don't know what they're trying to do at Harley. I don't get it because it's a contradiction. And they really, you know, the good thing about these new bikes is they came out with a new frame. They had to do it for the engine, for the counterbalancing of the engine and the mounting of the engine. And they also had to do it to take into account for the new suspension. But it does say that they will do a new frame, and that's good. They do need to do a new frame and design the bike and make it bigger for people who actually want to ride and buy a Harley. And that's really the demographic that they should be going after. The other big beef I have is they're overpriced. Really, you know, if they want to compete in the motorcycle market, they need to bring the price down. It's a freaking American-made vehicle. It should be cheaper than the imports. But right now, they have an overpriced motorcycle that's built for little people, basically. And that's the contradiction. What little person is going to think about, you know, they're thinking about getting a motorcycle. Harley's not going to get on the list. Because no matter how small they make it, no matter how low the seat is, that person's not going to be able to handle a 700-pound bike anyway, or a 600-pound, 700-pound bike. It's just ridiculous. So Harley really needs to come out with a bike that's made for its demographic, like me, someone over 6 feet tall. That's why we all ride adventure bikes, because this is the only bike we can really fit on. And I just think they're missing their niche market. Now, a lot of people will say, oh, well, you can swap out the foot controls, you can get a taller seat, and you can, that's all bullshit. You can't make a big bike seem smaller, and you can't make a smaller bike seem bigger by customizing it. It doesn't work. It all starts with the frame. And anybody who's ridden MX bikes and watched their kids grow out of bikes in the frame size, they know what I'm talking about. So that's my beef with Harley. Come out with a bike with a bigger frame. Instead of coming out with all these models, I mean, I think they got rid of them because it was just oversaturation. I think they got rid of all their low models. But there was a time where every model had a low model. So it's like, here's the model that we've made for small people, and if you're even shorter, here's the low model. You know, I really feel sorry for the diehard Harley loyalists that are as big as me, because they still buy the bike, they still ride them, but they look like, you know, a clown driving a car in the circus, or a praying mantis. I don't know what colorful analogy that you want. Now, this is always a tricky turn, and of course there's somebody there. Tommy. Let's go up this.